So, good morning, sir, and everyone present here. I am Vanshit Goel, Manager Events at Cognizance IIT Roorkee, and I will be hosting this session. We feel honored to have you here, sir, for this lecture in Cognizance 2021, organized by Indian Institute of Technology, Roorkee. I welcome you, sir, to this event on behalf of my team, who are working really hard to make this event a success. Among us today, we have Mr. Ankit Khanna, who completed his graduation from Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi. Currently, Mr. Ankit is the Chief Product Officer at MakeMyTrip. So, Mr. Ankit is responsible for driving product development for strategic initiatives and new businesses. Prior to assuming his role at MakeMyTrip, with over 15 years of experience across industries, Ankit was spearheading the product department at Carrier. Prior to that, Ankit was associated with Freecharge as its Chief Operating Officer and then Chief Product Officer. Then he was responsible for overseeing merchant acquisition and user growth. He was also a part of the founding team at Snapdeal and led the product team in 2015. So, without further ado, sir, I know that the attendees are waiting eagerly to hear from you from the topic that you have proposed for the day. So, over to you, sir.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for the introduction, and thanks everyone for inviting me here. It's my privilege to be speaking with you guys and sharing my views on product management. Thanks once again. So I'll just get into the presentation. So can you guys see my deck, or shall I present here?
So you would need to present it again.
Just let me present it. Present it again. 1 second now. Can you see now?
Yes, sir, it's visible now.
Okay. Okay. So today I'm going to talk about, given that most of you, all of you are still in engineering college, and probably in future you will end up doing bit of product development and product building. So I thought maybe rather than talking about something else, I should focus on talking about that what really product management is. Share my learning purely that how to become a better product manager. So that's something I'm going to talk about. So just starting with one, 1 second. 1 second, guys. Can you see my screen, Vanshit?
No, sir, it's not visible at the moment.
So then there is some problem. 1 second.
Yes, sir, it's visible now.
Yeah. Yeah, just a bit about me. I graduated from IIT Delhi in 2004. I'm a civil engineer by education. Uh, though I didn't do much in civil engineering post my graduation. After graduation, I worked as a software engineer for a couple of years and then realized that maybe I won't excel at programming. And then I was looking to do something on my own and started this company called iPasweer.com in 2006 with other three batchmates from IT Delhi itself. We ran this company for about 3 to 4 years, pretty much bootstrapped. We were unable to raise money. Probably we were very early into the internet journey for digital India. In 2010, we exited that company. We sold that company to another Pune-based company. And then when I was looking to do something very interesting, I got an opportunity to join the founding team of Snapdeal in 2010. So I was their first product manager and started building product. And for the 5 years, I had a roller coaster ride at Snapdeal and built product from scratch, and saw many ups and downs of Snapdeal. In 2015, we acquired a company called FreeCharge. And then I moved from Snapdeal to FreeCharge to build product for FreeCharge to build the largest payments company. Had a 3 year stint at FreeCharge before I exited. Then I worked in Middle East with a company called Kareem. So Kareem is Ola of the Middle East region. There I worked there for about a year, and then 2019 and I joined MakeMyTrip, and since then I've been here. So that's a bit about me. Moving on, I will just briefly talk about what is product management. While you guys must have heard different kind of definitions of product, but let me start from at a very high level and try to share that how we or as a product person you see product. See, any company has a vision, and the vision could be, and let me give an example. The vision could be that I want to transform electric vehicle industry in India, or I want to build the largest EV cars in India. So that could be a very high level vision, and that vision translates to mission for the company. Now, the mission could be that I want to start with, or mission could be that in next 5 years or next 10 years, I want to be the largest manufacturer of premium cars, premium electric vehicle cars in India. So then any company translates its mission into goals, and goals are, I would say, short to medium term. And those goals could be like that in next 12 months, next 18 months, I want to reach the production capacity, or I want to reach the profitability, or I want to reach a certain metric to a certain level. And then those goals translates into strategy. Now, strategy actually is a mix of three things. One, what is going to be your financial strategy? Second, what is going to be your execution strategy? And third could be what is going to be a people strategy. And all three put together should come together and translate into that how will you meet goals. Now, any senior management of any company is the real owner of strategy, and that strategy defines that what other parts of the company would do, or what other employees of the company would do. And this is where product comes in, and that product manager or head of product or product team should try to absorb that how that strategy should translate to them in the form of a roadmap which they can actually execute and implement, and the outcome can be derived from there. So that exactly how the roadmap is defined. And let me give an example. Like suppose, as I was talking about electric vehicle company, now the strategy could be that we want to build. So the goal was that I want to get to 1 million cars by the end of next 18 months. Now the strategy could be that we will set up a plant. We have to identify the plant. We have to set up the assembly line. Now that's more on financial and infrastructure strategy. But the real execution strategy would be that what car you want to build, how we will build the car, what kind of research we will do to build the car, what kind of features we will have, how those features will translate to the for the end consumer. Now, all this put together actually becomes a part of a roadmap, and that roadmap actually defines that what we will do on day-to-day basis and what how we will put together those days and days into the end outcome. The reason why I'm giving you an offbeat example of electric vehicles and not of any internet company, because product in general, though, may be classified as a very a role which is present in commerce companies or digital companies, but actually for any company, whatever they are manufacturing or building or that output is actually a product. For any FMCG company, even a bath soap is a product. For any digital company, for example, suppose I'm selling insurance digitally, that insurance itself is a product. So, and for any product e-commerce company, how they sell, I mean, their app, their website becomes a product. So, product could be of any kind. It need not to be very digitally oriented. So that was I was trying to say. Now, product management, I was explaining that it becomes a center point for any organizations, especially technology-driven organization, and it plays a super pivotal role for any technology-led company. It's somewhere in between customer, business, and technology. And the role of a product person or a product team is to understand what the consumer wants, translate the mission, vision, strategy of the business into actionable output, which they can work with technology to produce it. So that's how product person plays a central role within the company. Skills required for effective product manager. So this is something what I have seen working really well at GoMMT, MakeMyTrip, and one the hard skills. I think someone who really needs to understand the technology, whether someone has built technology or done coding himself or built some sort of a product, I think that is a good thing to have, but may not be a requisite. But if someone has really done it and understands well, that adds value. Second, the very important one is a data-driven approach, because see, whatever we are building, we really need to see whether it is making sense. And at times, you would have the ready data available, and most of the time, you have to derive the data from all the sources and see whether it is making sense for you or not. The third very important one is ability to execute fast. It is perceived that large organizations move slowly, which is also true in certain cases. But within their own slowness, there is always inherent need to execute fast and move faster and take decisions fast. The last one, which is I think is very, very critical, and this probably you guys will realize you will start working, stakeholder management. Because everyone in the company has a role to play, and this product person has to work with multiple people, multiple departments. So it's very critical that he or she respects the values, views, and also their roles and responsibilities as well, along with him and herself. Now, coming to the soft skills, I think curiosity, I would rate it number one always. A product manager who is not curious, both in terms of what the consumer wants, what my product can do, or what impact it can have towards the end of it. If someone doesn't have it, then it's going to be very difficult. Communication skills, I just want to clarify, I'm not referring here to how well you can speak, how well you can manage people. I'm referring to the fact that how clear you are when you are communicating, whether it is your manager, whether it's other stakeholder, whether it's tech team. I think someone has to be super clear when it comes to communication skills. User empathy comes in a big way when you are understanding the consumer. A lot of product managers or even technologists or even the business people make mistake that they feel that they are the real consumers, or they are also one of the consumers, so what they feel is also what the consumer wants. So there, I think some level of humility and empathy will come in between, to really understand what you really want to build. Now, some of the learnings that I have gathered over last 15 years as far as building the product is concerned, and I will share my views. And this has nothing to do with how to build a product, but I am just sharing my viewpoint that what different kind of emotional and behavioral edge you can have if you will apply these kind of learnings in whatever you do. And by the way, these just don't apply to product, but anything which probably you want to build. The first one is focus on all round customer experience. Let me try to explain. See, when any product manager is given a job to build a product, his general tendency is, okay, suppose I am responsible for building the buying flow of a toothbrush. Let's assume, let's take a product like that. Now my focus would be, okay, one, there could be a product detail page where I will display what is toothbrush, then there will be a add to cart button, then there will be, I need to take a shipping address, and then I have to take the payment and my job is done. So when I say all around customer experience, I think it's very important to understand that not only what the consumer is seeing on the app or on the website, or maybe when he's doing touch and feel. I think you really need to go deep into even the simple fact that when he has bought it, what of email are you sending? How you're going to, how the consumer can track the order? How when the tracking is done, what kind of communication are you doing? Are you following up on your tags? Are you also able to simplify the language that you want to put up for the end consumer? Is your design intuitive? Is your UX very clear? Is your communication starting from that, whether you're calling a toothbrush or you want to call something else? So basically, when you go in building any product, you have to look after all the hardware and the software aspects rather than just focusing on what you are entitled to do. I think that makes a lot of difference in long term, when you're building a product. So that attention to detail for each and everything can actually really create a big difference between a good solid product and a regular product. Next, I would recommend everyone, each one of you, if you are ever considering your career in this domain, learn product design. When I say learn product design, or probably I would say try to be more and more curious about product design, is the one simple fact that in any organization there are people who are called designers. Some people call it UI designers, some people call them UX, some people call them creative, graphic. Like, there are different names to it, and their job is to sort of create those screens, create those visuals on which the tech will work and they will produce something. And in other kind of companies like FMCG companies, or maybe any product based physical product based companies, then you have people doing a similar job. Even if someone is designing a bike or a car, then you will find these people. But I think the role of a product person is to get a good grip of how this process works and how your interaction with that designer should be. Because if you will leave that job to that particular designer completely and are not able to communicate in his or her language, then one, it will take a lot of time, a lot of iterations. And I don't think it will really translate to what you have in mind or what the consumer had in mind and what the designer would have in mind. But when you will learn this skill, or you will get a good grip of product design, I think the communication between the two will become really better, and the outcome will be far more useful. Third, this probably is my one of my biggest learning. Copy is design. Let me explain. So, as Indians, the way we are taught in school, or the way we are taught in different kind of languages in our schooling or even in college, we don't pay special attention to the written communication. And when I say written communication, I'm not talking about just that how flowery, what kind of flowery language you are going to use or what kind of vocabulary you are going to use. I think copy is more about that how easily you are able to communicate to your consumer. And most of the product managers do a, I would say, mediocre or a terrible job of this one. And they feel that, and you will see that most of the product people are engineers by background. And when you are doing engineering, or when you are learning engineering, or when you are in school, you tend to write in a way that anyone can understand. And that's more technical way. And you assume that why need to simplify for someone to understand. And this is the biggest difference when you're creating a product. So whatever you are building and whatever language you put out to the consumer, let me give an example. For example, you are now want to build a sign up flow. Now in sign up flow, you can assume, let me just put up a number, or let me put up a screen which says enter a mobile number or email, and then the guy can sign up. Now there are different variations to it, but how easily you are able to communicate value proposition, that why someone should sign up, clarifying whether it's phone number, some people write it's a telephone number, some people affix plus 91, not affix 91. So all these considerations, small things, create a lot of value for the end consumer if you're able to simplify it. When I'm buying, should I call it add to cart? Do people understand checkout? Do I need to simplify language further? Should I call it shipping address? Should I call it your courier address? Shall I call it shipping time? Shall I call it dispatch time? Like all these small nuances, in my view, create a lot of difference when you're building the product. And I generally feel that all the product companies in India have come a long way as far as improvement on this particular part is concerned. But this particular trait is very underrated as far as the product part is concerned. So every product person should pay special attention to it. Funnel is passé, drive product via insights. So when you're building a product, especially an internet-based product, you always have tendency to improve the conversion of your funnel. So first, maybe let me explain what is a funnel. So the entire buying journey, step by step, is called funnel, and all the product managers have a very big responsibility of improving the conversion. So if 100 people come to my product, how many people end up buying? So this is a typical funnel metric. And most of the people rely on data, most of the people rely on consumer behavior on the app or on the website to see why people are dropping, where people are dropping, which is fair, I think, which is a very basic tendency of any product manager to do. But I think going forward, it has become really important to understand of the product and see, are there more insights available with direct consumer interactions, with more insights from the people who are using the product, or is or other stakeholders in the company can give you better perspective that why their sale is going up, sale is going down. So a lot of insights need to be taken it out rather than just looking at the data. And there is a fine line between the two. Some of you may go into analytics as well post your graduation, and there also you will feel that there would be three kind of profiles you will see. One, very reporting oriented, dashboards oriented. Second would be very data science oriented, which I think is a more advanced level of statistical and data analysis. Probably there you need more education to excel. And third would be insight driven analytics, which I feel it's a next level of analytics which anyone who is aspiring to become an analyst should do. So now go deep, define end state. So what happens that when you are very young in your product management career, you are given a very small portion of building a product, right? Because the company would want you to start small, learn, and then go deep into your journey. And then when you do that, your approach is always very short term. I would say ultra short term. That what is going to happen next 1 week, what is going to happen in next 1 month. You look at features, you look at things which you can implement in that short period of time. But in my view, the real value will come in when, though you are building for short term, maybe ultra short term, but you're able to see the end state, that where you want to get to. For example, let me give you an example of a loyalty program. Now, if any internet-based company wants to build a loyalty program, they always have a 2, 3, 4 year kind of a vision in terms of metrics, in terms of what eventually they want to offer. So, if as a product person, while I want to define an MVP or phase one kind of a product, if I have some view of that how that loyalty program will evolve in next 2 to 3 years to come, both in terms of how the consumers will interact and how the metrics would behave, the kind of thought process that will end up putting in while building the MVP, I think is going to be a big difference as compared to if you will only look at the short term fact. Take external help. Talk to your peers in industry. There is no better way of learning rather than learning from others, or learning reading, or learning from books, or maybe now because of internet everything is readily available. And you should not feel shy, you should not feel hesitant about the fact that that guy is so big, so small, or in a different arena, whether he will understand why I need help, why will he help me, and all those things. People in industry today are very much eager to help each other, and I have seen it. It's just a phone call away or WhatsApp away. Just get on a quick call. You don't know someone, talk to your friend. He will introduce you. And I'm telling you, when you will talk to your peers in industry, the kind of insights, the kind of learnings you will have is going to be tremendous. Never ever hesitate to reach out to someone and take help. And the more you take help, the more help you will also give. So your knowledge will only increase by sharing that. I don't know how many of have heard this concept called A/B experimentation or experimentation. When you are building a product, you have reached to a certain level. Most of the time, you go with data, but a lot of times you go with your gut, and you don't know what is the right thing to do. And then you build two variations, three variations, and see which variation will work and which variation will not work. Now, the point I'm trying to make is that one, it's an essential thing to do when you are building a product. But the more important thing I'm trying to convey here is that it's an art. When I say it's an art, you learn over the period that what kind of A/B experiments you will do. Not every variation, or not every time you should try to do an A/B. You should try to do an A/B when it is really required. Just to give an example, not every change can be bad or not every change can be good, but you really need to bring certain level of confidence in your thought process to decide whether right now at that particular moment a certain thing qualifies for an A/B experiment or not. So that's the point I want to make. Maybe the last maybe the last point from my side is never ever get emotionally attached to your solution. So because as a product person with our background of an engineering, we end up becoming very attached to our solution. We feel that this is the right thing to do. Even if we fail, we keep on trying, we keep on building, we keep believing that this is the right thing to do, and we keep improvising. But at times you reach a dead end, you fail, and your failures will tell you that why you failed, then you should move on. But the only thing you should get emotionally attached to is to the problem, not to the solution. Because if you'll get attached to the solution, then actually you will forget the problem, and you will only be improvising the solution to make it better, to make it work. But if you will keep emotionally attached to the problem, then your ability to learn from failures and your ability to move on and keep building a better solution will get enhanced. And you will always think about the consumer, you will always think about the end outcome rather than how you are reaching that end outcome. So yeah, so guys, this is a quick summary of from my side, that how you build a better product, uh, and how what was product management, and these are my learnings which I feel that can really make a difference from someone being an average product manager to a fantastic product manager or product. Yeah, so that's pretty much from my side, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. I think we all understood how product management actually works and how varied the field is and how many people are actually involved and how many skills that you require to become a product manager. And I think everybody understood that here. And so there are many questions that have come up through Google Forms and some through questions as well. All the other attendees who haven't yet checked their questions can post it in the open questions tab. And apart from that, I'll take a few questions here, sir, that I have. So one of the questions is that how important is the marketing strategy of a product, and how do you see which customer segment to tap for a particular product?
Yeah. So one, let me talk about the marketing strategy. I think I have seen that the companies who do really well are the companies where product marketing talk a lot, and they talk while deciding on the product, while building on the product, and when they are ready for the go to market, right? And any company, any such teams who work in isolation probably will do a bad job. And it's a very two-way kind of a communication. So when any product person comes up with an idea on the basis of roadmap or strategy, I think it's very critical that they work with marketing and see. So let me give you an example. So at Make My Trip, right now we are thinking that what do we do to get to next 50 million or 100 million users? You must have be hearing about New World Bharat, right? Which lives into tier 3. They don't understand English. Their access to internet is through phone. Their ability to pay is very different. Their thought process is very different when it's come to spending. Now if I want to build a travel product for this kind of an audience, and I go deep, i I go and launch something without understanding the go to market strategy, I'm bound to fail, right? So that's a very clear example of that how and why two teams should work. Now, talking about the customer segment, exactly my point that at different stages of your journey in product evolution, you deal with your consumers or you define your consumer segment quite differently. When you are very early, then you build for a broader base. But when you have reached a scale and you want to see that how I go more broader rather than more deeper, then you start classifying your product cohorts or your customer cohorts, and then you understand the needs. And when the way you understand your needs again can come from two points. One, what the data is telling you, and second is when you interact. And I'm telling you the kind of insights probably that you will get from talking to these people, from your consumers, is unparalleled. I mean, no better way to learn about your product unless you deal with these people or to these people. Yeah.
Yes, so that makes a lot of sense. So as we talked about the product manager and how one should, take care of a product and develop it and, take it to the next level. So how important is it to, get the feedback of many other people about the same product? And till what extent should, you take feedback from other people so that there is not a one-way track or a one-way thinking in any product manager's mind?
So there are two ways to take feedback, right? Actually, three ways, actually, I would say. One, at any scale, you should be collecting your feedback on a periodic basis through a digital way. Some people call it NPS. I don't know whether you have heard this, where people would ask you to rate, would you like to recommend to a friend? And then you ask, being asked to rate from 0 to 10. And then they ask you for a descriptive feedback. So that's one way of collecting feedback, and any company does it. Whether it's a online company or whether it's an offline company, they have different ways of doing it. Sec- second, second way of building the or getting the feedback is your customer care. Your customer care, when people reach out to you for any customer query, then actually you get to know that what problems your customers are facing. And some of these problems could be very much related to your. And as a product manager, I think it's your responsibility to keep looking at what people are saying or what people are writing to you. And third, the most important one, which I was just talking about, that keep doing customer surveys, keep talking to customers, keep inviting them, keep meeting them, and then they will give you feedback, and then you can work upon. Now, once you get the feedback, how seriously you take the feedback, again, it becomes a some sort of a art, right? And that comes with an experience, and you have always have to take this feedback with a pinch of salt, because what consumer is saying doesn't mean that the consumer is right. So there you need to assess. I don't have a definite way. It's just that it depends on the situation, what the consumer is talking about. Like a consumer is saying that I'm not able to find a refund button on your app. Now that's a very direct feedback, and I can work on it. But if someone is saying that your refund button doesn't look nice, right? I'm just saying that very now there's no. I can't. I don't know whether I should take that feedback with a pinch of salt or not. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that every product manager does experience this at some point in his career, and it's an art, as you said. So there's a question by Nikhil. He says that how I can properly structure my startup's product, like how to structure a product from start to scratch.
I think in the initial journey of your startup, your structuring of the product is defined by, because most of the startups start small, right? Obviously, and their need is small, their cohort is small. So in that, I would prefer that you do work in a way which is iterative and fast. You create something small, you test it with the consumer, then build incrementally, and keep building till the time you get to a point where you feel that there is a market fit. I think that is the best way to do this in your initial journey of a startup. And because your validation will only come in picture when you are doing this thing pretty fast. Don't think too much about I would say structuring as such. Think more about execution when you're building a small and a young product, I would say.
So we have seen that Make My Trip as an app, usually the customer care executives, we don't have calling feature on MMT, right? Like there are not people who connect on customer care. You focus majorly and more on written feedbacks and written queries that you get instead of the direct that are answered by customer care executives. So is there was there a plan behind this, or how do you like see this part of the product, and do you think that this is the more efficient way of handling?
So, one, I would like to clarify that not that we don't have a phone call center. There are numbers available and people can call us. But whether we answer the call depends on the fact that what is the state of the journey, why the consumer is calling, right? And how we can pacify and answer that consumer at that point of time, right? So let me give you an example that if someone is, suppose my journey is in next 4 hours and someone is calling us. So that means that someone is really looking for something which is urgent, right? So then your call will be answered. But if you're suppose you have done a hotel booking which is 15 days away, and on the phone or IVR you say that I want to cancel, and that cancellation as an option is available on the app, then the message would be sent to the consumer that go to our app, is easily cancelable, right? The way maybe most of you have done the return product when you have bought from any e-commerce company, right? So depending on the use case, depending on the state of the booking, depending on why you're calling us, we decide whether we take the call or we don't take the call. And the very simple reason is that there are two parts to it. Even if we answer, we cannot do much. You, as a consumer, you have to learn to adapt and then do self-serve. And that is the only way we can scale. Otherwise, your cost proposition becomes a hindrance in how you want to scale further. And it ultimately impacts your consumer offering. So we have to define a fine balance between the two.
But as we talked through your talk that about the Naya Bharat or the people living in the second and third tier
Yeah,
cities,
yeah.
so these people are the ones who don't really know how to use the app very well and have connection to active internet and smartphones. So how do you know if people are directly asked to use the app without any guidance? So how do you want people to adapt to your product?
That's what, right. Exactly. I think it's a very valid point. Because when we are now thinking about building a product for these kind of people, we are thinking about this nuance that when they're in the funnel, when they're buying, how can I assist them? Now, doing in-person assistance can be very costly because I cannot deploy so many people. It's not scalable. Now, we should use some voiceover chatbot who can help them. Whether I can use voice search, you must have seen the Google study which has recently came where they keep predicting increase in voice searches over every year. So there we need to think about those kind of product strategies while building product for them. There, what I just talked about may not work completely.
Exactly. So these are things that can be
Yeah.
talked about at length. And so I'll just take two or three more questions very quickly. And one of the questions was that not all products that you're a part of are end to end, right? They don't directly convert to what you call as a, the consumers don't directly buy them. So how do you judge such intermediate products, or like for example an app interface or something like that, where it doesn't necessarily convert to the data of people buying it or not?
No. So I mean, there are different analytical tools available which will tell you that what people are clicking when they open the app. Are they scrolling? Are they clicking on something? Are they viewing it? Is how the eyeballs are moving when they are opening the app? Like all that tools are available to tell you how consumers are reacting to it. Second, as I said, when you talk to people, one, there is a concept of non-assistive consumer studies. I will give you this, probably you will see in some of the larger companies. So in that scenario, what we do is we invite 10 people, randomly chosen of different cohort. We make them sit in a room, right? And we tell them, you go and buy whatever you want to buy, right? And we give them a coupon. Let's assume 500 rupee coupon. So buy any product, and then we get out of the room, right? And we tell them, you open your phone or you open the laptop, or we give them one computer and you go and do this buying. And then we sit from the distance, and then we see how these people are reacting, how these people are buying. And that kind of immense learning probably will tell you that what people actually cognitively thinking when they are looking at the same interface, like the same interface is being looked at by 10 different people. So you have to adapt these kind of consumer studies to get to the point.
So one of the question is by Sumesh. He says that PM roles are still very new to industries. So why PM roles came to in companies in India so late?
Uh, now I don't think there are very few. There are very, see, ultimately India till 2000 or early 2000 was never a country which was producing something on its own. Whether you call it digital India, manufacturing, or maybe any other part, we were mostly relying on imports, and we were largely a services oriented company, service oriented economy till or 2000 or 2005 or 2010, and we were mostly doing manufacturing for others, right? So in that kind of a scenario, product roles were less. But now, because of young people like you, we want to. There is a surge of people who want to build, who want to solve problems, not for India, but for global. So that's why more and more roles are coming up, and you will be surprised the kind of potential I see in product management, analytics, marketing, technology for sure. It's immense. I mean, there is no dearth of roles. There is no dearth of very, very good roles. People are doing amazing work. So things have changed in the last 1 decade. And I think now what changed in 1 decade, I think is now changing in 1 or 2 years.
So there's one more question by Nikhil. He says, "What are the best ways to understand who is the real and a long-term customer?"
I think LTV, long term value, probably will define his repeat rate, probably will define his stickiness will define how someone talks about in social media about you can define. So there are different ways to look at the real and long term consumer. And what I have also seen with long term consumers is that how often or maybe time spent by them on the app or maybe on whatever you have built, right? So that will give you some good clear indication. And I've seen that customers behave similarly in a certain cohort, and that data will tell you, right? So for example, women of certain age group of certain work profile will have a tendency to behave in a certain way, and that probably make out, and then that's how you should build and scale your product. I think we are done.
Yes, sir. We have taken almost all the questions, and thank you so much, sir. I think it was a really inspiring session, and I think I personally have learned a lot. And also, I think all the attendees would have learned a lot from this.
Yeah.
And
And thanks a lot.
I,
Thanks a lot for inviting me. And I wish all of you all the best for your future to come. Unfortunately, we are now living in a very difficult time where all of these things need to happen virtually. And I mean, having gone through this level of education myself, I can very much say that there is no substitute to physical learning, though online learning is fine. But all the best. And I am reachable anytime. My coordinates are with the team. And whenever you want to reach out to me, feel free to reach out. Thank you. Thank you so much again.
sure, sir. Thank you
Bye.
so much, sir. Bye.